Hello, I'm David Lee, and welcome back to part 2 of our discussion with Pastor Robb Hawks. And this week we're discussing the use of new technologies in the house of worship. Pastor Robb, if I can call you that, we're friends, so it's a little bit more informal that way. I would just like to know if you could tell the viewers, where do you think the use of new technologies as we see it today first began? What prompted that to start?
Well, I think the original technology or the original media was the printed hymnals and the Bibles themselves. Now, back maybe 20 years ago, there was a revolution in music within the church where the hymnal no longer was cutting it. There was new songs, and the songs just weren't published. So we broke out just an old overhead projector and began to put the lyrics to these new songs up on the wall.
Because let me clarify that, because there was just simply these songs were not in a book or anything like that.
No, they were brand new songs. Yeah. They were on the radio. We wanted to use them in worship. So from the overhead projector, we got a little fancier, and we made 35 millimeter slides, and then eventually we got our first video projector. And for us, that was the beginning of the birth of visual media in the church.
And today, I guess you're possibly using more advanced projectors and big screens and this kind of thing. Tell us what you're using there.
Well, right now we have 3 12 by 16 screens with about 6,000 lumen projectors on each one. So we've come a long way from those early days of a 500 lumen projector.
And tell us, what type of content are you putting on the screens?
Our primary content is image magnification. So what we actually do is we have 3 cameras, we're shooting a variety of shots, we're projecting that up on the screens, and then all the lyrics to the songs are put in the bottom third of the screen with a superimposition.
And what type of audio technologies are you using in addition to that? I mean, you've got your live sound, and give us some ideas of what you're using for live sound now.
Well, the biggest problem in a church with a live orchestra is there's so much noise coming off the platform, especially with live monitors. It just blows out the house sound. So we've gone to digital drums, which are all hardwired directly into the mixer. We have in-ear monitors for the singers and the musicians. We're using an Avion system, which allows the individual instruments to be able to mix their own sound mix for where they're at. So we've gotten pretty sophisticated. Plus we have all kinds of other wireless technology we're using with wireless mics, wireless instruments, and things like that.
Now, the facility that you're in right now, what kind of sound system did you originally install in that house of worship?
Well, this building's about 17 years old, and it was an old JBL system. It was all horns and woofers, and in its day, it was pretty good.
And then today, what do you have?
Well, today we've gone with an EV line array. We tried a couple of different ones, and this particular one we thought sounded really good and matched the style of music that we did. And
what difference did you feel that the changeover from line array to your traditional cluster type system, what benefits did that give you, think?
Well, immediately it got rid of the hotspots, which had always been a problem. We had the sound was also a little harsh using the horns, whereas the line array is much smoother. We have a very good frequency response across the whole room, and within a few decibels from place to place as far as the apparent loudness.
Now you mentioned that you're using cameras to generate the images up on the screen, and I assume that you're also doing some type of audio recording. What are you using in that area to record your audio?
We're actually recording immediately to MP3, and we're also recording to DVD for distribution, and we also record to a 2-hour format DV for when we use for broadcast.
And are you doing a separate split mix for broadcast or for tape duplication, that kind of thing?
We do have a separate mixer, and by the way, this is one of the areas that we have to fix. When the system was originally put in, we had one set of lines. It was a home run from the stage up to the sound booth. Well, now we're trying to mix audio for video, and we don't have a good splitter system, and this is something we have to address immediately.
And what are you finding from your audiences as far as demand for replicated products, like the sermons on CD or DVD, cassette? Tell us about what's the demand for cassette compared to CD, compared to DVD in this era.
Well, it's interesting because we have produced cassettes for decades. And we noticed that there was a trailing off on the request for cassette duplications of the services. So we began to do CDs, and all of a sudden, cassettes went down to 0 and CDs went through the roof. So obviously people are taking them and using them in their cars. But the real interesting one is the MP3 downloadables that people are putting, you know, on their iPods.
That leads finally to the question of, are you streaming live your services to the internet?
That is how we broadcast our service, is through a live streaming venue. We also have an on-demand section of our website. And it's really interesting because we had a friend of mine who missed the service Sunday morning. He was out of town. He called me there that day and he said he just took his laptop there in the hotel, plugged it into the network, and he watched the service right then and there.
And one quick follow-up from that is, what type of complications or what type of process did you pursue to go from, you know, producing your programming to literally getting it streaming to the net? Who helped you solve that problem, in other words?
Well, the good news is within our movement there was a group that had set up a streaming platform for us to use. And they were an integrator in a sense that they walked us through the steps. I mean, we knew nothing about it. And they sat there and showed us all the setup things and how to connect. And I'll tell you what, without them, we still wouldn't be on the air.
My final question is, why are you wearing a black leather jacket? Our audience wants to know.
Well, just because I'm a preacher doesn't mean I don't like to ride. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I ride a Harley Davidson Fat Boy, and helps release the stress.
Thanks, Pastor Robb Hawks, for being on this show with us. I'm David Lee, and thank you for watching Sound and Communications Viewpoint, and we'll see you next time.